So the other day, we finally got the trailer for the first DLC for Doom Eternal, which, as I'm sure the majority of you guys know by now, is called Ancientgods Part 1. Announcing the part is very important. But since that trailer dropped, I've been seeing a lot of questions popping up. How many levels do I think is going to be in this DLC? How long is the DLC going to be? Is it free? If not, why is it not free? Can I buy it separately from the Season Pass? And so, today what I wanted to do was make a small video kind of combining a little bit of personal speculation along with some extra information that's been shared with us after that initial trailer dropped. So we're going to talk about potential price tag for this DLC because it does look like you're going to be able to buy it separately from the Season Pass and even from the main game. It doesn't look like you actually need the base Doom Eternal game, which is very intriguing to say the least. Just based off of that and the typical runtime of the main missions in Doom Eternal, I feel like we can get a general idea of how long this DLC is going to be and how many levels we could potentially see in that DLC. So with that being said, I kind of already dropped the biggest news, which is surprising to me. You don't need the base Doom Eternal game to experience the Ancientgods DLC. It's going to be a standalone experience entirely on its own. This information apparently comes directly from Marty Stratton, who is the executive producer over at id Software. He's quoted as saying, "When we look at how many people have played through the game, we have a large percentage higher than 2016 that have completed it. So we're always looking at that and seeing how far players make it through your game. It's important as we want the DLC to reach as many people as possible. In fact, you don't even need to own Doom Eternal to buy the DLC and play it." This is apparently a statement he made immediately after the Gamescom opening night live show, which is where the trailer for Ancientgods was initially dropped. Now initially, right off the bat, after hearing that, I got excited because you're gonna see a flood of new players, potentially. You know, you have all these people in quarantine right now, or at least I think the majority of us are still on quarantine, trying to kill time and keep themselves busy, and not everybody has $60 to throw at a new AAA game, so a fraction of the price they can now experience whatever Doom Eternal has to offer, whether if it's extra content or you're missing a little bit of what the base game has to offer beyond some lore and obviously the extra content that comes with the extra levels from the main game. But the potential of seeing an influx is definitely there, but along with, yeah, we're probably gonna see a lot more complaining, but fuck it, I'm up for some more memes. So if this is true, you can buy Ancientgods DLC 1 by itself. You don't need the Season Pass, you don't even need the base game, and from what it looks like, the price is gonna be about $15.99 in pounds. Translating that to US currency, it's about 22 bucks, but based off of how games and DLCs normally priced, I'd say it might come out to $19.99, which makes a lot more sense because that's still 10 bucks cheaper than the Season Pass, yet a little overpriced for a DLC, so they're gonna try and inch you to buy the Season Pass outright for that bargain type of feeling, which I recommend anyways, as it looks like the DLC isn't gonna be just copy and paste from the campaign. Hugo Martin himself said that the main story for Doom Eternal is like a full-length film, while the DLC is a spin-off TV series kind of continuing it. That is some rough paraphrasing, but I'm sure you know what I mean. So for the sake of this argument, let's run with the idea of this actually being a standalone DLC. You don't need the main game, which personally I believe. I think they will try to sell it as its own thing. But whether if it is its own thing or not, how long is this DLC going to be? Initially my guess was anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. If it was going to be 6 hours, I was assuming that it'd be divided up into 12 30-minute missions, which isn't completely an insane number when you take into consideration a Doom Hunter base takes me about 25 minutes. Final Sin is about 30 minutes on its own, and that's not considering things like secret encounters or Slayer gates. That's just casually going through the level. And I'm sure it's definitely going to take some people even longer if they didn't play the base Doom Eternal game. id Software could have also went the other route where they heard some people complaining about how a lot of the levels were a little too long. Exhaustia, as an example, could definitely be split in half. I think that one's definitely 2 levels combined into 1 and overstays its welcome just a little bit. And with so many people wanting much more replayability and even a horde mode, splitting up the levels into quicker bite-sized pieces where you can hop in and hop out would be kind of a smarter decision, as you're scratching that itch, even if very temporarily. And even going back and looking at the trailer, it looks like a lot of the fights that we're going to be dealing with are not only much more difficult enemy variety, but they seem like they're going to be much more intensive, almost like they're master level in nature, at least some of them, which could also be the case. We could get a mixture of longer, more lore or story heavy oriented levels that are run about 25 to 30 minutes and then have smaller arenas that are very intensive to scratch that itch that you can very easily drop in and drop out of. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but a lot of the more intensive fights in Eternal can be done within a matter of 20 to 30 seconds depending on how quick you are in your movement and how you deal with every single demon. The fights never really last that long. As an example, the pit in Cultist base, that shit can be done in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds is pushing it. If you know what to expect and you know how to deal with them, you can knock this fight out in about 15 to 20 seconds. Even faster if the demons spawned quicker. Throw in the fact that you are tailoring a little bit more towards some newcomers with the potential of this being a standalone DLC, and having those bite-sized fights seem to make a lot more sense to me personally. I feel like they might leave in a little extra stuff to kind of tempt players to go back and buy the base game if they haven't. You know, kind of like as an example, they'll leave out the tutorial on how to take care of marauders and then they just throw in like 2 or 3 marauders at them at the same time, and they're just like, figure it out, shoot them till they die. If you want the guide, you gotta buy the main game. It's exclusive. That'd be fucked up, but honestly, that'd be hilarious. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? How long do you think this DLC is gonna be? How many missions do you think is gonna be in it? Initially, 6 hours sounded way too low for me, but I mean 12 30-minute missions or even more split into a bunch of bite-sized fights, I think I'd be fine with. But it also begs the question, 6 hours for the entire thing from start to finish as far as like the main lore and main stuff goes, or does 6 hours take into consideration like collectibles, Slayer Gates, secret encounters? That is, if that stuff does return, you know, collecting codex entries and all that fun stuff. Well, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Let's talk. You know, I just wanted to make this a small video as I came across this, and I thought that was kind of interesting that they were going to be selling this as a standalone. As of right now, there is no pre-orders or anything like that in the PlayStation Store or Microsoft Store or Steam from what I can tell, so we're probably going to have to wait a little closer to the release date until that stuff does go live. And when it does, I'll let you guys know. Maybe the price will change, and who knows, you might have to buy the base game after all. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, and I've been promoting it pretty heavily, it's been growing fantastically. It's only a month old, and we've already reached over 100 members, so thank you to everyone who's joined. If you're a Call of Duty fan or a Doom Eternal fan, you're trying to find people to play battle mode with or different strategies to beat Ultra Nightmare, there's a bunch of helpful people in the Discord that can tell you all kinds of strategies that may work for you, or who knows, maybe you'll find out some ways to approach fights that you never even thought of. Like always, guys, my name is Cynic. Thank you all so much for watching, but until next time, see y'all later.